Every time you step on a plane, you're putting your trust in a whole team of people you will probably never, ever meet. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of aviation's most critical roles. This is inspired by Rob Kennedy's awesome AvGeek in Residence series, which really dives into all these fascinating jobs that keep the whole industry going. We're talking about the world of the Airframe and Powerplant Mechanic.
This quote right here, it just nails it. It perfectly captures what it means to be an aircraft mechanic. See, it's not just about turning a wrench. It's a whole mindset, a discipline, really. It's a promise. But what does that combo of technical mastery and constant vigilance actually look like day to day? To really get this commitment, the author tells this great story about his uncle, who was a chief engineer. This guy was on call 24/7 for a gigantic industrial kiln. And seeing that helped him understand the incredible work ethic, the pride, and, the just immense responsibility that defines the mechanics who keep us all safe up there. They really are the vigilant guardians of the sky. So the official title for these guardians is A&P Mechanic. These are the certified pros who inspect, maintain, repair, and this is the big one, put their own signature down to certify that an aircraft is airworthy. That means it is safe to fly. They are, without a doubt, the final line of defense on the ground. And make no mistake, this is a truly global profession. Here in the US, we call them A&P mechanics. Hop over to Canada, and they're an aircraft maintenance engineer. In Europe, they're an ESA Part 66 license holder. So yeah, the titles change all over the world, but that core mission, making sure every flight is safe, that is absolutely universal. So let's talk about that mission. What does it actually take to keep a machine as mind-bogglingly complex as a modern aircraft in a constant state of what they call airworthiness? Well, the certification itself is kind of split into two halves of the same coin. First, you've got the airframe. That's the entire structure, the body, the landing gear, the flight controls, even all the hydraulics and electrical systems. Then you have the power plant side. That's everything that makes it go. The engines, the fuel systems, the propellers. A fully licensed mechanic has to be a master of both worlds. Just think for a second about the weight of that responsibility. After every single repair or inspection, a mechanic signs the aircraft's logbook, and that signature, it isn't just a check mark on a form. It is a legal declaration. They are putting their name personally and legally on the line saying this aircraft is safe to fly. That level of accountability is, wow, it's almost hard to comprehend. Now, all this responsibility is guided by a super strict code of compliance. A mechanic's work isn't based on feelings or their best guess. Nope, it is dictated by a set of non-negotiable rules and directives, all designed for one single purpose, keeping all of us safe. These rules basically come from two main places. You've got service bulletins, or SBs, that come from the manufacturers, like Boeing or Airbus. And then you've got airworthiness directives, ADs. Now, these are legally binding orders from authorities like the FAA. If an AD comes out, that work has to be done, no exceptions. And every single thing has to be documented perfectly, because if the paperwork isn't right, that plane isn't going anywhere. So, with all this technical knowledge, all this regulatory pressure, what do you think is the single most important quality that defines the absolute best mechanics out there? It all boils down to this: an uncompromising attitude. It doesn't matter what the flight schedule says. It doesn't matter who's waiting at the gate. If a mechanic is not 100% certain that that aircraft is safe, it stays on the ground. Period. End of story. So where does all this incredibly important work get done? Well, think of a massive global hangar that never, ever closes. Aircraft maintenance isn't a 9-to-5 job. It's a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation all across the planet. And in this world, there's a 3-letter acronym that means drop everything. AOG, Aircraft on Ground. This is basically an emergency call. It means a plane is stuck somewhere with a technical problem, and a mechanic might have to get on a plane themselves, dare night, fly to some remote airport, and get that aircraft flying safely again. And a mechanic's day can look completely different depending on where they are. In the commercial airline world, you've got huge teams at these massive maintenance facilities, focusing on big scheduled checks. But switch over to private and general aviation, and you might find a single mechanic working alone on an entire aircraft from nose to tail. Talk about needing to be versatile. Okay, so what if this is all starting to sound pretty interesting, maybe even like a calling? how does someone actually become one of these unsung heroes? Well, the path is tough, but it's very clear.
It's a pretty straightforward process, even if it is demanding. First, you get your foundational training, either at a certified tech school or by getting experience in the military. Second, you got to pass all the exams to get your official license from your country's aviation authority. And third, you get hired. Could be with an airline, a big repair station, or even a corporate flight department. And you might be closer to this career than you realize. A lot of the core skills transfer over really well. I mean, if you've worked as a car mechanic, a locomotive tech, a marine engineer, or on any kind of heavy equipment, you already get precision in how to troubleshoot. And of course, veterans bring that incredible discipline and experience with following strict protocols. So where does this path lead? Look, this is way more than just a job. It's a real profession with a very bright and stable future, all built on that one non-negotiable thing: safety. Just how stable are we talking? Well, according to Boeing's own forecast, the world is going to need hundreds of thousands of new maintenance technicians by the year 2040. The demand for these skilled professionals isn't just growing, it's absolutely massive. And there's a clear path to move up. You can grow from being a mechanic on the hangar floor to a lead mechanic, then an inspector who signs off on other people's work, a maintenance manager, or even move into quality assurance or teaching the next generation. It is a career with serious growth potential. But really, it all comes back to this. An A&P license is so much more than just a piece of paper. It is a credential that represents a deep, personal commitment, a promise to do whatever it takes to protect the life of every single person who will ever step foot on that aircraft. So the next time you look up and see a plane just gliding through the sky, remember that unseen mechanic, that vigilant guardian whose skill and whose signature made that flight possible. It's a powerful reminder of all these critical jobs, just like the ones Rob Kennedy explores in his series, all working behind the scenes. And just ask yourself, could your skills be what keeps the world safely in the air?